Welcome back, Faith Nation, and hello from the district. I'm Juan Garcia, social media correspondent for CBN News, and I'm excited that we get to hang out today. Hey, listen, we have an awesome show in store for you today. Bret Baier, Fox News host, is in the building, and we also get to chat with House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy. So please, continue to comment below, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and be sure to subscribe. I'm on my way to the studio right now. Faith Nation begins right now.
Hi guys, Jenna and David here. Another Faith Nation underway this week.
Wow.
David, big show today.
Oh, we got a huge show. I mean, the majority leader,
Yep.
House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy on the show. But let's not bury the lead, because we've got other special guests here, Jenna. And I believe is there look who's sitting on the set.
Our lead story, Bret Baier, Fox News superstar. Bret, thanks for being here.
Oh, great to be here.
Thanks, Brett.
All right, well, we have to start with the news of the day. President Trump at it again, tweeting this morning, saying that transgenders no longer will be allowed to join the military. Were you as surprised as we were when these tweets started coming down?
We were, because obviously this policy has been set with the last administration, and a lot of folks believed that this was kind of where the Pentagon was going to be. I think there's a lot of questions, not only with the administration, but at the Pentagon, because the people we talked to this morning said they found out by Twitter. There wasn't this big discussion about it. So I think, you know, there's all kinds of sides to this, and there are a lot of folks. We did a story last year about concern about it from generals who had looked at it as a social kind of experiment that the military was doing. But then there's obviously what the president had said as a candidate about this issue and where he is now. So it's a lot of different angles.
And you've got a unique perspective, obviously, covering the Pentagon there for a while. And you've got these military roots, if you will.
I do, and a lot of people I still talk to all the time from my days of 6.5 years of walking around the 19 miles of the Puzzle Palace, as they call it, the Pentagon.
Jeff Sessions, boy, I tell you what, he being the president, marches to the beat of his own drum. You wonder if this is going to have some serious residual effect within the base of the conservative movement here. I mean, where does this end here?
Well, I think it's a great question. I think if you hear, you know, Mark Levin and different conservative talk show hosts saying that this is a bad move, it's interesting to see that the president keeps on going down this road. I think most people will say that they'd like to see them sitting in the same room and air out the differences. But the president's communication of choice has been by Twitter. And from what we hear, the Attorney General's not going anywhere.
Right.
I mean, unless that changes.
Yeah, no,
and in the last, we better check Twitter.
Yeah, could you please
Yeah.
check Twitter?
Stand by.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of communications, new White House Communications Director Anthony Scaramucci. What's your read on this guy?
By the way, I call him Tony from New York.
Tony?
Yeah,
Well,
I
it's
know
better
this
than
guy.
the Mooch. I mean, that's his nickname, the Mooch.
What does that say?
Yeah. Listen, he's smooth. He's kind of, you know, a character. But here's what he has. He has the trust and access to the president. And in that position, that's key. I don't know how he's going to change things. I think it's a great sign that he said the on-camera briefings are coming back.
Yeah.
That's a positive for all of us who cover the White House. But he is somebody who definitely has the president's back when it comes to seeing simpatico on his agenda.
Well, I'm from New York, and I can tell you, I think he's being called a piece of work. He's a piece of work for sure. Fox News, you know, the critics will say, look, the president's pretty friendly with Fox News. What kind of pushback do you all get over there? I mean, you guys have had that access to the president. Is there certain flack from other journalists based on the fact that Fox News has been in this position for a while, but with this president, it seems like it's a different level, if you will?
Well, it's important to point out the two sides of Fox. You've got the opinion side and the news side. So if you're looking for, I'm still looking for that first President Trump interview, as is Chris Wallace. And we ask every day. So we haven't been there. The last interview I had with candidate Trump was 8 days before the election. So it's different. We love the access for the channel overall,
Yeah.
but it's two sides of the channel, and so I think the critics paint with a broad brush, and they don't look at the news side and the opinion side.
You know why that is? Why do you think? I mean, yourself and Chris. I mean, not to get too personal about it, but there's been other places he's been on the channel. Is there any rhyme or reason to that, or any philosophies?
I don't know, but
Yeah.
we're working it, and I don't know whether he's obviously more comfortable in certain shows. He watches Fox and Friends a lot, and he's on that show a lot, and obviously Sean's a personal friend. I think we are in a different news position, and like other news shows, he has not done a ton of those interviews.
Yeah.
And President Trump, he complains a lot about the Russia coverage. What do you think? Is there too much of it?
Well, I think the balance has been lost. You know, you can cover it and cover it aggressively, and we don't know what we don't know, and as this, continues to go. But I do think that there are some outlets that have gone over their skis as far as the amount of coverage with what we do know. As these leaks come out, some of them have had to be walked back. And so we take it one day at a time. We're aggressively reporting it, but we're also covering other things in the world that are really important. So that somebody at the end of the show could say, I have a perspective of what's going on, as opposed to, well, I know all the angles about Russia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, Brett, we want to cut to Facebook. We're getting some questions for you.
Wow, look at this, interactive.
This comes from Maggio Alvarado.
Nice
Have you ever, Brett, been in a position to go against your beliefs, afraid to lose your job?
I've never had to. And, as a news guy, I'm providing both sides. I'm a Catholic, and I'm a guy who believes that faith is really important. I'm not afraid to talk about it. And Fox is a place that welcomes that. So I've never had to do that. And as opposed to the portrayal that we are this top-down, like ominous organization that somebody's saying you have to cover this, from the news side, it is very much bottom-up. And we cover what's happening.
Let me ask you, we're going to get to the faith angle in a moment, and the book Special Heart, which of course we know all about. Fake news versus real news, this whole thing, boy, what's interesting to me is that the president was calling it fake news for a while, he still does, but then he went to, I know he called CNN the fraud news network, but he is using the word fraud a little bit more, which I find interesting, fraud being deception, fake is a whole different matter. There does seem to be a delineation when he talks about fraud, because there does seem to be quite a bit of deception out in mainstream media circles in terms of how they may skew a story, and I think that's different from a story actually being outright fake. What's your take on that?
That's true. How you approach a story is also something, and that he obviously disagrees with certain approaches, but then there is fact and fiction, and I think we just have to be careful about using that fake news moniker all the time. It's clearly different organizations cover things differently. There are good journalists over at CNN, and there are great journalists at MSNBC, and there are great journalists at Fox. But I think we all collectively have to stick to the facts.
Absolutely. Your Facebook page, by the way. Can we say it right now? Facebook.com / Bret Baier SR. Not for senior.
Bret Baier SR Special Report.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So
Make sure you do
hopefully they're all linked in. I think we had it. We had it timed out.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, Brett, we did want to talk about your book, Special Heart, A Journey of Faith, Hope, and Love. And I know our audience at home, they would love to hear how your son, Paul, is doing.
Yeah, so Paul is doing great. He's 10.
That's great.
He's the tallest kid in his class. He's had 3 open heart surgeries and 9 angioplasties, but he's doing fantastic. In fact, we just dropped him off at sleepaway camp for the first time in North Carolina. There he is playing basketball. And there's a little guy, Daniel, who's 7 now.
Yeah.
And so my wife is a mess this week. We get him back Friday. He's been gone for 2 weeks. But apparently he's been having an amazing time. and we've only been receiving letters. There's no phones, no texts, no
gosh. The
iPads.
Wow.
It's like, hello mother, hello father.
It's like Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah, and so it's been
so
tough, but
great.
it's been really fun to see him independent and having fun, and he's doing wonderful.
Tell us a little bit about the faith angle to this, because the word faith is in the title to this,
Yeah.
the subtitle to this book. Where does this factor in, and what have you seen kind of God do in this area of your life, his life?
Yeah, it's a big part of our life, and to be able to get through the darkest moments of that, and the diagnosis and the surgery, and to be able to get to look at the other side of the tunnel to say that it was going to be okay. The only way that we could do it was through prayer, and we kind of threw it out there, and it was amazing. Thousands of people came back, offered prayers, and it lifted us up. So we then felt emboldened to be able to say we're one day closer to getting them home. And we do that literally every time, and every time we put it out, it comes back in spades.
This just in, prayer works.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Right,
I mean,
right.
that's a Fox
There
News
you go.
alert. There
Yeah,
you go.
Fox News
Fox
alert,
News alert.
with the whole Chiron and everything.
That's it.
Brit Hume,
Yeah.
you've talked about this in places, about how important he was, especially at that time, and from a Christian faith perspective. How did he help you along in this journey? Because I know faith very important to him, as he's suffered through some tough times
Right.
as well.
He obviously lost his son,
Yeah.
Sandy, and he went through a very dark period there too, and it was faith that helped him out as he talked to me. But he's my mentor and really good friend, and so in all things, fortunately, he's still on the show as senior political analyst. He has 100 days a year, and I don't tell anybody, but he's got a big calendar in his office with a Sharpie that he marks down the 100 days.
There you have it.
And the rest is, playing some golf.
I love it. Well, that's great. That's great.
Well, thank you so much again. We appreciate you being here. And for all of you out there, special report, 6 o'clock p.m.
6 tonight, and we will we'll have a special 11 p.m. show tomorrow night after the healthcare vote-a-rama. So a lot going on, as you all know, here in town.
I will say this, a couple quick comments coming in. Love Brett, that's in quotes, from Bob.
Okay.
I don't think Bob has a last name. And Judy on Facebook says, good to see Brett on CBN. So
They love you on here.
Well, that's great to
Big
be here.
hit, big hit.
And fair
Congrats on
reporting.
this format. It's a lot of fun.
Thank you. We love it. We're having fun with it.
We did. Sean
It's a good
Spicer
time.
on last week, and now look what happened. So we may be the kiss of death. I'm
Wait a
just letting you know.
second.
Yeah.
I should call the
careful.
office.
Proceed with caution.
Jim Acosta, by the way, on the show next week. So
good.
We're looking forward to that.
That's great. You know what?
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
Yeah,
he's
he's a good guy.
he's gotten a lot of heat.
Yeah.
So
Sir, thank you.
yeah.
All the
Thanks
best.
a lot.
All the best.
Have a good one.
All right.
Thank you.
Bret Baier here. Give us a second. We're going to throw to a piece, if you don't mind. That's what we anchors do.
Well, we all know there's a lot of talk about mistrust in the media.
Yeah.
Something like 32% of Americans don't trust the mainstream media. So we want to know, do you hate the media as much as some of you say you do? Amber Strong here with fact or fake? Fake or fact?
So you've heard it time and again, even from the president.
Fake media, fake news.
Fake news. As of late, the lines have been blurred between what is without a doubt fake news and what is actually biased or slanted news. Regardless, trust in the media seems to be suffering all around. So fake or fact, do the American people really distrust the media? If you take a look at the polls, the media is the one group that consistently ranks as low in the approval ratings as, well, the rest of Washington. A recent Gallup poll shows 62% say the media favors one political party over the other. And a September Gallup poll showed the approval rating of the media at an all-time low. But a poll by the Media Insight Project caused us to pause and take a harder look at the numbers. It seems people overwhelmingly distrust the media, except when it comes to the outlet they actively follow. Only 17% believe the media to be accurate, but that number almost doubles to 34% when it comes to the media they use. Even according to an unscientific poll conducted by CBN News via Facebook, 20% of the more than 2,500 responders said they trust certain media outlets. So our final answer on do the American people really distrust the media? Fact-ish. After looking at several polls, people overwhelmingly distrust the media. No doubt about that. However, they seem to have a little leeway and trust for the outlets they personally follow. So our question to you is this: if you do trust certain outlets, why? Is it because of a history of accuracy and integrity? Or maybe because their views happen to align with your own? Or maybe it's both. Shoot us your responses down in the comments, and I'll be chatting right along with you.
Well, Amber will be chatting right along with us. Is that night? I love. Should we do this?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, look at this.
Okay, there we go.
That was a good piece, Amber.
Applause for Amber.
Phenomenal, phenomenal.
Bravo,
and we don't do that
Amber,
often.
bravo.
We don't do that
often.
We don't do that
You know
often.
who else we need to applaud
Who do
for?
we need to applaud?
Is Juan Garcia
What
over
a
the
transition.
social desk.
What
Hey,
a
Juan,
transition.
what's up for you? Come on, Juan.
We love Amber here. And guess what? Here at CBN News, we strive to report with truth and context, and of course, all through a Christian perspective. And we can't do that without constant communication with you guys. So I thank you for those that have already gone in and dropped a comment or a question. I've been reading all of those, and I got a good one that pertains to Amber's package. Check this out. This is from Neil. If you discover a news source that seems to accurately reflect your suspicions, prejudice, and worldview, you should spurn it like a rabid dog. I can't think of anything more deserving of distrust than a news source that coincides exactly with my views, nor anything quite so guaranteed to make me wrong about nearly everything. Seek out the dissenting view to your own. Challenge yourself to see the other side. Engage with opposing views and be prepared to change them if good evidence is presented. Well, you gotta love that. Back to you, Brody and Jenna.
Yeah, all right, you gotta love.
All right, let's get now to the newsmaker of the day, House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy. We know him well. Majority Leader, thanks so much for joining us here on Faith Nation.
Well, thanks for having me on. It's good to see you again.
Hey, let me ask you real quick. Obviously, some of this breaking news today, the president now saying transgenders will not be able to serve in the U.S. military. He's reversing that June 2016 directive from President Obama. What's kind of the initial take on that?
Well, we're just now seeing this, but this is a debate that we had on the floor similar to this just about a week or so ago. Vicky Hartzler had an amendment on the floor to stop paying for the surgery for transgenders. One, it takes people out of the military or ability to serve for a year or so as they go through this, the amount of cost, wanting to make sure that the money was going to the military itself, to the equipment and others, R&D that we needed to have the military for. We knew General Mattis was studying this issue, something that Barack Obama put into place, and it looks like President Trump has come out after talking to his generals and others, seeing that maybe it's not the best for the military currently as what Obama proposed.
Probably going to get some flack on this, you know. Oh, what a shock, right?
I don't think the president worries about getting flack on any of his decisions.
All right. Let me ask you health care real quick. Look,
yes.
The Senate, you guys did your job in the House, but the Senate, boy, I tell you what, looks like it might be some sort of, I'm going to say it, dare I say it, a watered down repeal bill coming out of the Senate. Are you just hopeful this thing gets to a conference committee and you take it from there? What's the sense?
They've got to do something. They've got to keep the promise. And, you know, when you really look at it and you take politics away, think about what Obamacare has done. It gave greater control of government over business and health care. You know, the 50 employees, 30-hour work week. It created 23 co-ops, gave them more than $2 billion. Do you realize 19 of those co-ops have collapsed? Our premiums have gone up. Now 40% of all the counties in America today only have one provider. There's so many challenges out there. So regardless of how you feel politically, Obamacare has collapsed, and it is failing the American public. So we've got to make a change here, repeal it and replace it, just as Republicans pledged they would do and make that promise. And I think the American people knew that going into the election, and they expect it to happen. The House has done their work. The Senate now needs to do their work.
And Majority Leader, if Republicans don't pass anything on health care, is the party worried about losing its majority in the House?
I'm worried about it because you've got to keep your promise. And what's most important here, think about it. You want to lower the premiums. Remember what President Obama said, that he was going to lower the premiums, and the premiums went up? We want to let individuals have the choice and decision-making in their health care. That's what our bill did in the House, and I would think that that bill could pass in the Senate, especially with what we were able to achieve.
Let me ask you about this sanctions bill. I know everybody wants to talk about Russia sanctions and all that, but Iran's in there, obviously North Korea too. What's the sense there? There's a sense that this will tie the hands of the president a little bit on Russia. Do you think that the president's going to sign this ultimately?
I think he's going to sign it, and the bill is different from when it passed the Senate. Remember, in the Senate, they didn't have North Korea, even though the House acted early and passed a bill 419-1 against North Korea, putting in sanctions and the fear of what we have. Just look at what the report came out yesterday about the ICBM capability of North Korea within the next year to reach America, the fear of what's going on there. And when you think of North Korea, Russia, and Iran, those are really the bad players in the world. But one thing that the Senate did too, it was going to punish American energy companies and actually reward the Russian companies. So we were able to modify and change that. I think it gave greater flexibility to the administration to make decisions as well. So I don't view it as tying the hands of the president, enhancing what the president is trying to achieve. Because the president has done more, especially from this national security team, which I think is one of the best I've ever watched from a president, in getting China more engaged with North Korea, focusing really where the pressure needs to be. We cannot allow North Korea to continue to build the nuclear weapons of what they're going towards and be able to reach us in America. If you wait longer, we will have our hands tied of really how to deal with this situation.
You know, the House has gotten so much done in such a short amount of time, but with very little coverage because of other stories like Russia and different things. Talk to us about the Forever GI Bill. I know this is something that you've worked very hard on yourself.
You know, one of the main focuses I have is actually transforming the VA. How we treat our veterans really shows the moral of this country. First of all, I think the VA Secretary is doing a tremendous job. We worked with him to actually change the rules, because what was happening today, he had somebody show up drunk, actually perform part of the surgery, couldn't be fired. Somebody that went to jail and served the time, comes back, can't get rid of them. Or individuals that are doing things improperly on their own computer or the VA computers there that he needs to make change. So you can't let those bad apples spoil everybody else. But also about the wait time for individuals. So what we've done is we've had a GI reform bill, because it limited the amount of time someone can use their GI Bill to just 15 years, so you had to use it or lose it. We look at the new workforce that's going on. We're expanding the ability of where they can get their education from. There's so much more we can do, from the health care to the veterans to also the workforce for the veterans, making sure when they come back that they, not only that they're the greatest fighting force in the world, but they become the strongest workforce that America has ever had as well. We need to keep our promise to them.
Majority Leader, a couple last questions and we're done. Let me ask you a little bit about your relationship with the president. You know, he loves you. He thinks you're great. He thinks you're a huge fan, right?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what that relationship's like, and also how do you kind of, good luck with this, how do you rein him in a little bit? I mean, look, even Jeff Sessions, he's getting a lot of flack on that. What's kind of a counsel to him on things like that? What do you do in situations like that? You're a confidant of his.
Well, the president and I talk often. He called me the other night coming back on Air Force One from the Boy Scout Jamboree. And we talk about the different pieces of legislation. I'm always looking forward-looking about different things that are coming up. Now, the president has never been in elected office before, but I like that idea because he pushes. He's a disruptor when it comes to government, and it's really what the American people are asking for. But sometimes when you disrupt, yeah, you ruffle some feathers and people get upset. So I've tried to talk to him about the full spectrum of everything that's out there. If you make this decision, these ideas are going to come forward. What I try to do is just give him all the information. When you give him all the information, he usually makes the right decision. But sometimes I find some people don't give him the opportunity to give him all the information and kind of steer him in one direction or another.
Would you like him to rein in on the Jeff Sessions talk a little bit, or he's going to do what he's going to do?
You know, you're not going to change President Trump. He is who he is. He's going to tell you exactly what he thinks. I think that's what the American public expects for. But the one thing I look at in all of this, some people are working so hard to be able to get that Trump agenda passed. I always think as a team, you're stronger. I used to have these discussions on the campaign trail. Focus on just Hillary. You're not going to have everybody that's agreeing with you, but make sure you keep building that team together. We can have constant improvement, but there's nothing wrong with the president talking about ways that he wants people to work harder and stronger, and I think that's fine. But I think keeping a team strong and united will make him stronger in the long run as well.
Majority Leader, as you of course know, members getting ready to go on this recess. Of course, the congressional baseball shooting still fresh on many minds. My question, are there plans to help members feel more secure at their local town halls coming up here?
Well, you know, security is very important, and to all your viewers, keep Steve Scalise in your prayers. He is doing better. He soon will be going to rehabilitation. He's been a dear friend of mine long before he's ever was in Congress together. He and Jennifer and the kids, just keep him in your prayers as we continue to, he gets stronger. But in the time that we serve, it becomes a scary time. So we have taken some actions here. One, they've just now reported that members can use campaign money to security around their house for cameras. We have plussed up the giving more money to the Capitol Police to be able to patrol in areas where members are at. We have worked with local law enforcement to be able to be there back home of the locations that people need. But I can't say enough about these Capitol Police. David Bailey and Crystal, they risked their lives, and they were both wounded. And had they not engaged the way they did, there would probably be a number of members who did not live that day. But we just have to make sure we're keeping our eyes out everywhere, that we have the support and security going. But you want to be able to interact with your constituents. And we want to make sure that you don't rile individuals up for an idea that, yes, we can have disagreements, but let's not get into the physical parts of these disagreements. Let's just make the idea win at the end of the day.
Majority Leader, always a pleasure to see you. Give our best to Judy out there in hot Bakersfield, California.
Hey, it's a beautiful place.
I know. And by the way, you still doing those bike rides around D.C.?
You need to join me. It's a beautiful time of year to do it.
I may pass out.
All right. Well, come join me. God bless, and thanks for having me.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it.
Great to see the Majority Leader.
For sure.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll get on a bike or maybe I'll pass out.
I was going to say, he may hold you to that.
No, he will hold me to
We'll
it.
see about that.
I'm not getting on any bike.
But hey, some great news to report about the whip, Steve Scalise.
Yeah.
He has been released from the hospital. So, as the Majority Leader said, keep praying for him. He's nowhere near the finish line here, but good news on that front.
He's a fighter.
All right, David, you asked the Majority Leader about Jeff Sessions and kind of the digs that President Trump has been taking at him. He also was an early supporter of the president when he was campaigning.
Yeah.
What do you think? Should Republicans be nervous about the president and his so-called loyalty?
I don't think so overall. I mean, I think with Trump, it's always a case-by-case basis, Jenna. You know, we have to kind of see how this goes. He's clearly frustrated with Jeff Sessions, and, you know, I don't think there's any question about that. Just look at Twitter. But what was interesting about what the Majority Leader just said there is that he didn't come against Trump at all when he had a chance to defend Jeff Sessions and his integrity and all of that. He didn't really do that. He believes Jeff Sessions is a stand-up guy and all of that, but he didn't side with Sessions over Trump. He kind of stayed out of it, though at the end he did say that it's better if they're all united.
Right.
At the end, it'll be helping Trump better if the party's more united, which was kind of code for, hey, let's just continue to have one big happy family. We don't need the squabbles.
Yeah. All right, well, we want to know what all of you are saying. Let's go ahead and send it over to Juan Garcia at the social desk. Hey, Juan.
Hey. It looks like our audience is kind of split, so I want to know if you're hashtag Team Trump or Team Sessions. In the comments. Yeah, here's one from Grace who says, change him if, all caps, he doesn't respect you. You're POTUS. And then here's another one from Gloria who says, praying for reconciliation between President Trump and Sessions. God will help them come to terms with one another for the sake of unity. Gotta love the love in her post.
I believe this is where we say kumbaya.
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 My lord.
Will you sing?
While we're at it.
Are you going to sing?
No, but will you? What do you guys
No,
think? Should
no.
David Brody sing? I think
No.
so.
Well,
Maybe if we get enough likes or enough comments.
you see, this is very dangerous what you're doing. But I may sing for a price. Well, I don't know about a price. Look, here's what I want to say about Jeff Sessions and Donald Trump and Kumbaya. I agree. I mean, obviously, Trump needs to cool it, if you will, with the Sessions talk, because I do think that eventually it's going to be a case of diminishing returns. I mean, look, knock yourself out on Twitter. You know, you're frustrated. That's fine. But sometimes airing those grievances in public is a big time distraction. So we'll see if reconciliation can happen. I'm not convinced that it won't happen. In other words, that's a double negative.
There is hope.
There is hope.
Right.
There is hope. What did Obama say? Hope and change.
Yeah,
oh
hope
gosh,
and change.
so sorry about that. People are like, please don't say those words. I get it. I get it. Oh, by the way, can we just do this real quick? Do you mind?
Yes.
Yes. Hello.
You should sing before that.
Oh, I don't think I'm going to sing. I need at least 100,000 likes.
They want you to sing.
All right. Well, I may
we have
sing.
To change this. I know we have this on applause during the last interview.
During the Kevin McCarthy interview.
We fair and balanced.
Yeah. Sorry about that. That wasn't subliminal. We're just on the air,
on
folks.
Air.
We're on the air.
On
Do
air.
they really want me to sing?
I think so. I think so. Please, everybody, weigh in.
Well, let me sing the Star Spangled Banner. Oh, say, can you see? No, I'm not going to do it. All right, what's next? Yes.
All right. Maybe another time. All right. Well, that's one story, obviously, in the headlines. There are a lot of stories that maybe get a little bit less attention. Ben Kennedy has those. Hey, Ben.
Well, hey, good afternoon, Jenna and David. Let's head out to the Middle East. That is where President Trump sent Jason Greenblatt to diffuse tensions at the Temple Mount. It is there the crisis between Israelis and the Palestinians show little sign of dying down. Also, you might remember, metal detectors were just removed from the Temple Mount on Tuesday. They were put in place after 2 police officers were killed. Now, David, I want to turn to you real quick. You just got back from Jerusalem. This is a big open-ended question, but is peace possible in the Middle East?
Very, very difficult. It's been tried for decades and decades. So the short answer is probably not. I know Trump wants to do the greatest deal ever. I get it. Put the accent in there, the New York accent. I think it's going to be very, very hard. And part of the reason for that is you've got the Palestinians that the last time I checked, I don't want to say that their public policy is to drive the Israelis into the sea, but the reality is they have no sense of negotiation here at all. I mean, they want the whole kit and caboodle, and that is going to be problematic, clearly, for Israel. So I don't see it happening anytime soon, Ben.
David, you're right. Let's head back to home, where the U.S. Navy commissioned its most advanced, most expensive, get this, a $12.9 billion carrier. You're looking at it right there. It is called the USS Gerald R. Ford. Bottom line, it set sail with a crew of 4,500. So we asked our viewers, how do you pray for the military? Andalay Smith posted that she prays for our armed forces, have physical, mental, and emotional protection, and also for their loved ones. Val Blaney added that, yes, please, pray for our military, always necessary. Hashtag Air Force Mama ×2, hashtag Army Mama. So let's return to the White House for just a bit, where there is a new press secretary, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Odds are you've seen her on TV. She's the new face of President Trump's press operation. Huckabee Sanders is the 3rd female press secretary, is very open about her faith. I was in the room for her first briefing and have really watched her embrace this new role. David, you've been covering the White House for more than a decade. Your thoughts on her new promotion?
Well, look, Ben, we've known her. I've known her actually years and years, which kind of dates me. Look, she's stand-up, Jenna. Yeah. She's a stand-up person, and you know, I think she's going to do a really great job. Don't mess around with her, though.
Yeah.
You know, the press. You know, she has that smile, that Mike Huckabee kind of bless your heart smile, but she is very thick on public policy. You know, when at 5 years old, when the other kids were out playing in the woods in Arkansas, Mike Huckabee tells a story about how Sarah Huckabee was at the kitchen table going over briefing papers at 5 years old, reading encyclopedias or something along those lines. The point is, she's a smart cookie.
Yeah, don't underestimate her. Don't underestimate her. Well, maybe you saw this story. Somebody who did underestimate Sarah Huckabee Sanders, a writer for the Daily Caller, they called Sarah Huckabee Sanders a butch queen. Can you believe that? They said that. And this is the same guy who cracked a racially charged joke about Jeff Sessions' Asian granddaughter. So highly offensive. I think what a lot of people are really appalled by is a lot of feminists and other liberals are not coming to her defense.
Yeah.
And if this was someone who was more liberal, someone who was not within the Trump administration, this could be a totally different story.
So there's hypocrisy, is what you're saying, potentially in the liberal movement. Well, that's shocking. This just in, some hypocrisy when it comes to some of what liberals have been.
Well, what do you guys think? Please comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
So Dot came in. She chimed in and she said, Sarah is good. She does not let the news people rattle her. I got another one from Elisa who says Sarah Huckabee Sanders is going to do great things at the White House. Press Secretary, God bless her. And then one last one says, more godly leadership. You gotta love it. Like, people, they're all about some Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
Yeah, a lot of love for her on Facebook here.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, she's an evangelical Christian. I like to call her the Sunday 11 a.m. And then Cracker Barrel right after service. I mean, this is Sarah Huckabee. So she's definitely evangelical Christian. To see her there and really not backing away at all from her faith. I mean, she's done it from the podium a couple of times, too.
Referencing God and, being all out with her faith right there at the White House.
Good for her. Bless her heart.
Bless her heart, as they would say in the South. We're at that part of the show. We want to know your takeaway, the Brody File takeaway. Take it away.
Thank you. Well, so you want the Brody File takeaway? You want me to take it away?
Yeah.
I'm going to take it away.
I think you're picking up what I'm putting down.
I'm sure I am picking up what you're putting down. Look, the Brody File takeaway is this. President Obama, cue the smelling salts, because he's got to be thinking, oi gewalt, if he was speaking a little Yiddish, and I don't think he speaks Yiddish. I'm not sure. But if he was, he'd be saying oi gewalt, because look what President Trump is doing to his legacy at this point. Climate change, Paris, gonzo. Transgenders in the military, President Obama wanted them. Trump says, not so fast, Mr. President, and there's been others. Obviously, right now, the only thing, and it's hanging by a thread, is Obamacare, though it does seem like that legacy will continue in some form or fashion. But the reality is that President Trump is trying to systematically go through this former president's agenda and dismantle as much as he can. And so far, other than Obamacare right now, he's doing a pretty good job. And liberals right now are smelling the smelling salts. No doubt about it. That's my takeaway.
Your takeaway. Well, thank you very much.
Gosh, I worked up a sweat.
Liberals shaking in their boots a little bit, I would say.
They are.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
All right, well, that does it for us. Of course, we're going to be back here next Wednesday, and we want all of you to tune in. We want you to engage with us. The show is just as much about you as it is us in politics here. So please tune in next Wednesday. Another big guest, you said, Jim Acosta from CNN. We'll get his take on covering news in the Beltway.
This is going to be good stuff. See you, folks.
Bye,
Fake
guys.
Nation, we're out.